I loves me some 1 degree of Chunky B.
Now, I just have to make a comment about Chunky B. Have you ever seen him looking so good?
The panel then includes actress Lainey Kazan, comedian Chunky B, and Playboy TV host Julie Strain. Chunky?
What was the question?
Ladies and gentlemen, I cannot be more happy. Thank you, first of all, for jumping on the top of ChunkyB.tv, sliding into 1 degree of Chunky B in the Garage of Love. And I say this every freaking week, but today I mean it just as more than ever. Before I introduce you to who we have today, which is, one, an extremely great treat for the podcast in the Garage of Love. But let's go around the horn for a second. Right across the table is the executive producer from Four Eyed Films. He goes by the name of Gary Adler. Gary, talk to the peeps.
Thank you, Chunky. It's such a pleasure to be here. We are going worldwide right now. That's what I'm talking about. We're expanding our demographic. Go ahead.
All right. Real quick, I got to give you foureyeddfilms.com love.
Thank you.
All right.
Go check it out. Some cool stuff there.
Awesome stuff. Day in and day out, this guy is so fucking consistent. And we're just so proud that he stepped up, ate some mushrooms, and asked his girlfriend to get married. It's a long story. Check out the last podcast.
I thought I couldn't wear my sunglasses. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Give it up for Travis Spencer, the
Hello,
wizard,
America.
the wizard of the knobs.
Everybody.
Everyone's got to do
it.
the. Not you, my guest.
Can't show them yet. All right.
Now, when you have someone special, you get a little nervous. I'm going to flat out tell you, I may be jumping all over the world with questions, and Adler's going to keep me online. But this guy is worldwide, a great musician, a great friend, a great businessman with a great family. I want you guys right now, if you don't know who he is, look it up as we're chatting. Give it up for my good friend, Winston Giles out of Melbourne, Australia.
Winston.
Good to be here. Woohoo. Hey, Chunk.
All right. Before we talk about how well we know each other, can I just ask you, how do you have the spectrum of music as talent, business, travel, and it seems like wherever you go, you land on your feet. Just talk to me about the beginning days of Melbourne.
Melbourne, I was very fortunate growing up in Melbourne. It's a good city. It's a good music city. My family, my dad had bars, I guess you'd call them bars, hotels kind of things. So I just had this immediate outlet that I could start performing and writing music. Music pumps my blood, man. It's all I've ever wanted to do. I love making records. My brother started, on drums, our first band. He was on drums. I was playing guitar.
How old were you?
I got my first guitar when I was about 14 years old. Yeah, so it was a gift, and it was just something that I wanted and something that I just practiced forever and just really got into guitars. I mean, Hendrix was an idol, the Beatles, Stones. I mean, John Lennon's middle name is Winston. My dad was, a big. He was more of a Winston Churchill guy, but
You'll take whatever you can get.
But my parents were always very supportive of my music career. They gave me the Beatles collection on vinyl when I was a kid, and it was just one of those things. And it's nice for you to say that lands on your feet. It hasn't always been, sunglasses and cigarettes and autographs.
And if anybody knows what you're talking about, it's me.
I do,
and we'll talk about that later. But all right, you're growing up and you're in Melbourne, and your dad owns a whole bunch of successful pubs, and you're in the music scene. You're playing the guitar, and your first band, if I remember correctly from just hanging out with you on a regular basis, the Red Hot Chili Peppers kind of twisted your future?
Yeah, definitely. There was an exciting kind of twist of fate. The girl that I was dating at the time, was really into the Chili Peppers. I was really into LA bands, but more probably Jane's Addiction, who are still to this day my favorite band. I was really into Rage Against the Machine and was just really focused on LA bands. I was also kind of, into like the Pumpkins from Chicago and what was happening in Seattle with Nirvana and everything. But I was just a huge Jane's Addiction fan. And when the Chili Peppers were coming, they were touring Blood Sugar Sex Magic. They just lost a guitar player. They had another guitar player. We had a similar booking agent at the time, and the girl I was dating really wanted to go. And we went to the gig backstage, and I think she just left me so quick for Anthony Kiedis.
Are you serious?
It was like someone opened a door and she ran out. And I can honestly say I've never seen her again. But, we obviously weren't that in love. But the deal was that, I got to know those guys a little bit, but there was a couple of the guys who were working with them, and they just told me all about Venice, and that was all I needed, just a couple of numbers to call when I got here. So 2 weeks later, I was here, and I didn't go back to Australia for years.
So you had some sort of innate a connection with this town.
Definitely. I mean, it was just like almost like a fantasy. Like you'd watch Jane's Addiction videos, and I'd listen to the songs, and I wanted to know what St. Andrews was in the song Jane Says. I was just really drawn to it. It just had this charm, and it would just seem really real and really very different to where I was from, and I was just really into the music, and then it just came over, and was fortunate enough to become friends with Chunk.
Yeah, I know these people right now watching and listening to this podcast right now. Winston just turned 40, and I want to let you know the day I met him, he was 18.
Come on,
yeah,
not even kidding. But Winston, when you made this move, a lot of people don't realize, as we're talking about this, he busted out of Australia, made a move by himself with a guitar in his hand at the age of 18.
Yeah.
Pretty ballsy. You know what I'm saying? Which is very impressive.
But hang on, can we back up a second?
Of course.
You had some hits in Australia before you came here?
No, I wouldn't say hits. I mean, I'd put out a couple of records, an EP in particular that graced the airwaves and stuff. But it wasn't as though I wouldn't at that stage have said I'd had any hits. I mean, we'd been just doing what all the other new bands do down there.
When was Atari Baby?
That's skipping a long time.
Yeah, let's not even get there yet.
That's down the road?
Yeah.
Way down the road.
Okay.
Yeah.
No,
I like your enthusiasm.
Yeah.
But we don't want to skip a couple steps.
I thought that was the first step.
No.
Okay.
No.
I mean,
I'm being educated.
Right on. So can I jump in?
Yeah.
So Winston, let's just be honest with each other, right? It was a tough road. You came out here with stars in your eyes. And then you were about to leave because didn't you get a guitar went missing?
Yeah, I mean, it was a pretty rude awakening once you get here and realise that, LA's a lot bigger than you think it's going to be. Yep. You think you can walk from Venice to the Hollywood sign. It's not like that. I bought a car. I bought a 1975 Chevy Camaro that got me around the block and then conked out, and it needed to be fixed. Actually, you know what happened to that vehicle? I ended up running it off the side of the on-ramp at the 10.
I haven't thought about that in years.
And abandoned it. So look, it wasn't exactly going according to plan, but that's, I guess, where you stepped in, Chunk. And
here's where I
forever grateful, man.
So Winston, and he's not giving us the details, but he was staying at a youth hostel the last part of his trip. That his parents were like, go to USA, go to America, go and figure out what's going on. And I think at the tail end, it wasn't going so smooth. So his parents, who I know, go, hey, Winston, why don't you spend a nice week or two in a nice hotel? So when you leave the States, at least you're leaving with, hey, it wasn't so bad. Turns out that he goes to a hotel. My friend Patsy's living in an apartment, has a little kitchen fire. She's got to go to the hotel. Winston and Patsy meet and become great friends. At the hotel.
Come on.
And that's when I think your life changed, bro.
It is. I mean, there's no doubt, Chunk, that's when I met you. And I was very young. I was 18 years old. I had hair down to my waist.
Yep. Wearing goofy hats.
I was wearing goofy, kind of like, droogie hats. And, the first night, I remember exactly when you met. And we had a great chat. And we were hanging out in, I think it was called Marina Suites on Washington.
Yep. In Venice.
and for some reason you were just you were just really nice to me, and you go, you know what, you need to get out of this hotel, and I got a place around the corner, which is a house on Abbot Kinney. You actually said to me, I'm going out of town. I'll leave you a little note. I think you left me a bag of weed and a note how to use the remote. And whatever you do, don't go near the other bedroom. There's a guy in there. You'll never see him. You'll never come out. And that's exactly what happened. And you know what? You've been my best friend ever since. And I lived with you for 2 or 3 years over there on Abbot Kinney. And you know, it was the start of a life in America for me, man.
Yeah, you are by far my most expensive friend. But now the tides are changing. And now you're quite the businessman. We're going to get into that later on down the pike on this show. But when you hooked up with Patsy and you hooked up with our group of friends, and you were learning, not easily. You were taking some hard knocks, dude. You were getting banged up emotionally, financially, and I think spiritually. But you never gave up. And then when things started, let's just skip to when Patsy went back to Nashville. And you were like, okay, you were trying to gig, you were trying to get your groove going on in L.A. You got on a bus, and instead of going to Nashville, Patsy goes, you want to get hooked up with some of the legends of the blues, which you always had an appreciation for.
Totally.
Which, at a young age, I don't even know why you knew the history of the American blues. But I'm about to stop talking and let him talk. Okay. He lands in Austin, Texas, and meets the #1 blues lover by the name of Clifford Antone, who had the best blues bar maybe in America. Talk about your experience.
Yeah, I mean, very true. Like we said, LA was a bit, it can be a grind, and it was time to just go and see some more of America. And got a Greyhound bus from downtown LA. My friend Rem, who was at my party the other day, he dropped me down there, and I was diverted from going to hang out with Pats in Nashville to going to Austin to meet Clifford Antone, who, until the day he died, remained something of a mentor, was an amazing man, a very passionate man, a person who just lived and breathed the blues. And
tell us why, maybe not even why, but how much he trusted you.
Well, on the first day that I got there, my bus showed up, someone was there to pick me up, and he said, they said, look, Clifford's a bit busy this afternoon, he's going to come and meet you at the club. He wanted me to take you to your hotel room. He took me to the hotel room. He said he wanted me to give you a couple of things. He goes, here's the keys to a car, and there's something in the car in case you need it. And I walk out in the foyer of the hotel. Just outside the foyer was this black Trans Am, right? And I'm like, you're shitting me. I'm still only 18, 19 years old. So he's giving me this car to drive around in. I open up the trunk, and there's like a 57 Gretsch guitar, hollow body in there. I'm like, whatever, this is out of control. I had this hotel suite. I've been sleeping on your couch for 2 years. I've certainly upgraded a little bit. And then that night I went in, and he just gave me this amazing opportunity. My job was to just hang around the club and just jam and get to know all the blues guys that had come through and just learn from him. And he was an incredible man. He really, really made a huge effort with me. We got along really well. He called me his boy. He would take me to all kinds of crazy events. He would introduce me to everyone who came to town. Yeah. People like Jimmy Vaughan. Obviously, Stevie was passed by then, but Stevie and Clifford were exceptionally close. I mean, Clifford was so influential in so many careers, and definitely the same with me. And I treasure those days and think of Clifford often.
Tell us. Oh, go ahead.
I just want to say, for the people listening at home, all this is happening not because Winston is Winston, but he's a fucking badass guitar player.
No doubt.
And we haven't talked about that. It's just talked about his sort of personality with all of this.
Oh, yeah.
But Winston fucking kicks ass on the guitar.
Yeah, he does. You know something? Once again, just you talking about that, Adler, bam, goosebumps.
Shin bumps.
It's true. I get bumps on my shins when I get all emotional. There's hours and hours, days and months of Winston Giles and Chunky B sitting late night until the sun came up writing songs. And I'll tell you what, I'm not going to put you on the spot because, we don't have the guitar equipment. But next time you come back, and I know we're talking way ahead, but you're going to play some of our originals.
Scattered Snails.
Scattered Snails.
Well, that's nice.
Okay, wait a second. Let's talk about some of your experiences you had on the most badass blues bar, Antone's. Who did you actually get to sit in with?
Double Trouble, CJ Chenier, Jimmy Vaughan. I mean, it was whoever was playing in the club, I would have the opportunity to just make sure they were okay. At soundcheck, get up and jam, and then if there was, an opportunity beforehand, I'd get up and play. And just by hanging around and being there, it was just unbelievable. To tell you one story I remember really vividly is Clifford had this. He was very passionate about the blues, and he always wanted to make sure that people were treated fairly. And there was a lot of times, he used to throw these events at graveyards on the grave of a blues artist who didn't have a headstone. So he'd throw this benefit, and he'd get all these amazing people to come, and it was incredible. He was very much a blues guy and did a lot for me. But I mean, there's so many stories there in Austin that it was back then. It was kind of different to what it is now, I guess. I mean, Anton's isn't even there right now, but
did it go away?
It did go away. Well, Clifford died.
Yeah, I know, he passed away. God bless him. Man, I tell you what, I met him a couple times. Yeah, and I tell you what, he was a big, fun-loving, sweaty, kind of. I don't even know what his background was, but he was like a dark-skinned kind of, just a big, fun-loving dude. He didn't even play the guitar.
Did he play bass?
Did he really?
Yeah, he played bass, but he had hundreds of guitars. Hundreds of guitars. So you go and hang out with him, and he'd be like, over there, kid, under the thing, and I'd go over and there'd be like this beautiful, vintage guitar, and he'd be like, plug it into the Fender Twin and play something for me, and I'd be like, and he'd just sit there with his, he was a big man. He was kind of, he could be a little menacing. He was not the kind of guy that you'd want to piss off, that's for sure. But look, he did a lot for me, and as a guitar player, it takes a long time to kind of get seasoned or whatever, and every now and then I just look back and think, God, it was definitely that year or two with Clifford's influence that kept me on the right path, so to speak, as a musician.
Right. Let's keep moving. And did you run into Dallas? Did you go to Dallas after?
Yeah.
And then you did that a little bit, and you got a little bubbled up there. We don't even need to get all much into Dallas because you got the heck out of there, and you went from Dallas to. Did you go to Nashville?
After Austin, I went to Nashville for 6 months, which was a great experience. I was still very young. It was a different kind of music town, and got to know. It was more about songwriting. There was kind of again learning different lessons as a young person. Then I came back here to LA. Then I went back to Australia, and that's when I started to get a little bit more serious about putting out some records, and then came back again and was touring a band I had then. Right.
I remember that. We're going too fast.
Okay.
He goes back to Australia, and I know, Adler, you probably have 100 questions.
No, listen,
okay. And the wizard, this is the most wizard has ever been quiet. I look at him. Shh. All right, now check this out. Now, Winston's like, okay, I got a little groove. I got some ups and downs. I've been in America. I'm going back home, and I'm going to get my music, Australianized.
Right.
Okay. So he starts making, some hits. And I don't know this, right? Because I know, he's on the radio in Australia.
Okay.
So I've got a buddy by the name of Joe Jazz.
Yeah.
Right? So Joe Jazz decides to go on a solo tour. He doesn't play music. He's just like, I've got the money. I'm going to get a little breakaway, and I'm going to travel around. I caught up to him in Indonesia. Right. Then he went to Australia, and I didn't meet him in Australia. So he's hanging out in Australia with Winston.
What year is this?
Now we're at Atari Baby, which is 2000.
Okay.
Right, 2001 maybe.
Okay. So Joe calls me, and he goes, he's the real fucking deal. I go, what are you talking about? He goes, wherever we go.
This is a New Orleans guy, right?
Joe's out of New Orleans.
Okay, so he knows music.
He knows music.
Right.
So he calls me and goes, we don't wait in line. It doesn't matter if it's a club. It doesn't matter if it's a restaurant. Everywhere we go, people fucking high-five Winston.
Right.
And they're in a car. They're in Winston's Mercedes, right? And they're cruising around, and there's Winston on the radio. And Joe goes, dude, I can't even listen to this anymore.
Because Winston's in the car.
Yeah. Winston's driving. And he goes, yeah, me neither. And he pushes a button to another station, and it's another song of his.
Nice. So he was fairly popular.
He was grooving.
Wow.
He was grooving. What's on your mind, Adler?
With the popularity locally in Australia, groupies and all that good stuff. What's going on there? Are you partying hard with celebrities and stuff at this point?
Partying hard, yes. Celebrities, Yes, yeah, all of the above. I mean, I'm sex, drugs, and rock and roll's kind of been a bit of
Al
a mantra.
McPherson's hanging around. Olivia Newton-John's carrying your guitar. Mate, what's going on here?
No, I mean, Australia's a really small community, and let's not blow anything out of proportion. I mean, we've just really focused on making good music, having a good band, putting out good records, and getting back here. Getting back here and being able to keep doing different projects and keep experimenting with new things as
Are you making money as a musician at this point?
Back then?
Yeah.
No. I mean, there's always those things where, oh, cool, this was a good thing that just happened. This gig paid well, or, you get a royalty check and you're like, wow, that's finally a 5-figure check. Your first 5-figure check you remember. But they don't come every week,
Yeah.
Right.
And then, this is just before the music industry is about to go through a massive change, which
Right.
I think I was fortunate enough to be an industry savvy enough to know, well, I don't want to, you do need to make some money. Things are changing here, and I guess that's kind of where I started to focus a little bit more on being able to learn about the change. When iTunes came along, the whole industry changed, and it was kind of that pivotal moment. It was good timing for me in a way, so that I was on the cusp of that big change in the industry, which is, kind of the going down the business path that I kind of decided to go as well.
You jumped on that and became quite savvy.
Well, I mean, the same thing when iTunes came along, people stopped buying as much as you could download it legally. Record sales just went badoom. They just plummeted because you can get it illegally.
Yeah.
You can get it for free.
Napster started.
Yeah,
fucking it all
all that
up,
was going on at the same time. So where are you going to make money now? Because everyone says, we're in touring, but you've got to be a pretty established band to actually make money on the road. You're moving a lot of people around. You're going to a lot of cities. It's expensive. And not everyone's set up to do that properly. But so what happened was just that music licensing, which is an area that I went into, is where there was always a steady income. So and it will potentially a good way for bands to make money is to license their music for use in commercials and that kind of stuff.
Sure.
And that's kind of where I started to focus. And now I represent about 600 artists, and that's our business.
And you know something? We're going to take a break just for a second.
I want to get into that more.
We are definitely going to get into that more. And Winston Giles, what a freaking honor it is to have you in the garage of love. Round of applause. Guess what? We're going to be back in a second. Don't go anywhere. Get on the internet and find Winston freaking Giles. You're going to dig this cat. Back from the break. Thank you once again so much for dialing into ChunkyB.tv and then 1 Degree of Chunky B. And we're rolling with Winston Giles. And we're gonna get a freak on a little bit, but we're gonna talk about how he grasped the change of music with whatever you're talking about, because I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
You know what he's talking about.
I know exactly what he's talking about. Winston, how'd you grab it? What'd you do with it?
There was just, like I was saying, there was a big change in the music industry, and the MP3, being able to, you could email a track. You could never email a track before. It was a digital music revolution, and people could get music for free. And it's just as an artist, I mean, artists need to change as well. I mean, there's still artists out there that are chasing the big record deal, the big major, recording contract, and all that. Those days.
And is that fucking them up?
It's been up forever. It's been up for ages. You don't want to go and sign those archaic kind of agreements with labels and stuff. Those days are well gone. These days an artist has to know his business. Just like any business, you've got to know what you're doing. And there is still ways that artists can make a really good money and have good careers and focus on what they do best, which is making music. And I realized that at a certain point that the music that I wanted to make, because by this time I was starting to make different kind of music too. I mean, to be honest, I was, influenced by my surroundings. I went back to Australia, started taking a bunch of ecstasy every bloody weekend and listening to dance music. So I started making dance music. I mean, it's kind of funny,
like
really.
Electronic.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
So you
call
did
it
a
whatever.
full right turn.
Full right turn, and I still had a bit of guitar in there, but generally I liked that. It was something new. It was a new direction for me.
3 guys in a band.
Melbourne was a really I mean, there was a bunch of projects. Atari Baby, then the Winston Giles Orchestra, which was a little more laid back, chilled out electronic music. But it was influenced by my surroundings and what I was doing, and that style of music lent itself more to licensing it out to a whole heap of projects. I mean, the first artist that did it really well was Moby. I mean, that Play album by Moby came along, and you would hear it everywhere, on commercials, in films, everywhere you turned around, you were hearing those tracks by Moby, and he kind of showed everyone that there's a way that you can make music. I mean, he was just a kind of DJ, producer guy who, made this great record called Play by Moby, and he went out and licensed it everywhere. So all of a sudden it's like, oh, okay, I might not sell 1 million records, and we might not sell out Wembley, but, Nike's going to give us $40,000 to use the track in a promo, and that's still kind of the new music business, really, is brands and working with brands and finding the money anyway, and
Do you feel like that's kind of it's taken a little bit of the soul out of music at all?
Look, no. I mean, it's just everything changes. Everything has to adapt. I mean, sometimes, an artist shouldn't feel that they have to do something they're pressured into. But I'd rather go and do a deal with a cool with Apple iPhone or something than go and sell the rights to my music and, to some record company that I'm going to be stuck with forever. That's a horrible deal. I mean, brands and things like that offer a much better arrangement in a way, because they're just going, hey, let's do this one-off thing. We're going to use your music. You're going to help promote it, and everybody's kind of happy, and at the end of the day, the artist is like, wow, that was kind of painless. My ass isn't sore the next day, and I kind of, here I am.
No, you hit some American shows or commercials. You talked to me on the phone. What was the show that you did, your music was on?
Well, it's been on a bunch of shows. I mean, it's been interesting. Last year I did a lot of work with CSI, Desperate Housewives, all these kind of big TV shows. And the good thing too there is you get your music in one of those these days, and all of a sudden you're getting fans that are from around the world that otherwise wouldn't have known about it. And it's kind of it's a good thing. It's a good way to get your music out there.
But do you miss the live crowd? Because that music that you're doing was from a studio right to a TV show.
Well, I mean, I miss playing in front of a crowd, and it's a different kind of thing, and I'm really excited about getting back into that. But as you said, I turned 40 the other day, and it's you got to change as well. I mean, it's kind of a young man's game.
I can't believe this
Ask
guy's
Danny
40.
Elfman if he misses playing in front of a crowd.
Yeah, exactly. But can you believe Winston Giles is 40? Look how
Crazy,
good he
right?
looks. He
I
must
know.
moisturize.
I know.
He's got to be like, what's his sunscreen and shit? You don't have a wrinkle.
Well,
Look at it.
It's I'm going through a cold New York winter right now, so I'm
And
surprised.
you want to know? I talked to Winston's. I don't mean to change the subject. I'm talking to Winston's mom, and I'm talking to Winston's dad on Skype earlier today. That's how well I know Winston. All right. So check this out. I get in front of Skype, and there's Debbie, his mom. Oh my God, you look like Winston.
True.
She said that.
Did she?
Yeah. She said that you were in the kitchen.
Did you make an eye doctor
She
appointment?
had a
for
couple
your
of
mom?
wines, I think.
No, yeah, and she did. I was looking down, I was looking, at Alan, his dad. Oh, okay. Can I just change the subject a little bit? Let's keep where we are. We're talking about the industry.
Yeah, because eventually I want to get around to how can we get this guy involved in our podcast? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yep.
But go ahead.
Okay. I want to go back, and Wizard, I got to tell you this story. When Winston went back home for a bit, and then he, traveled around the United States and playing the guitar, he went home. His dad was doing a business deal in the States. He comes to Los Angeles. He calls me, and he says, I want everybody to get together that Winston mooched off of. Right? So I'm like, up and down Abbott County. I gather all my friends, and we go to Ivy on the shore, right? We're doing a deluxe lunch, and we've been up all night, but we can't let down Alan because we want some money back that we were financing him for every freaking thing we can get a hold on. And we sat there with 22 of Winston's.
And roasted me. Did nothing but talk shit about me.
And
the
you
whole
weren't even
time.
there because you were back.
That's an $8,000 bill or something, right?
Each of us had our own like champagne and wine things. And you know who was across the table? Next table over?
Mick Jagger.
Unreal.
And then the next table over was that one comedian gal who started those Simpsons.
Yeah, that girl.
Come on, you know that.
Yes.
Come on.
Move on.
We got to get back to
Look
her.
it up.
She had the little 3-minute started the Simpsons on her variety comedy show.
Right. Oh, that girl. Yes, Tracy Ullman.
Boom!
Thank
That's
you.
why you're the executive producer.
That's right. Don't bother me.
You're busy. And I just had to tell you that at least his parents knew what.
So wait. So hang on a second.
Sure.
You're all at the Ivy.
Yeah.
There's a big bill.
Yeah.
And Winston picked up the tab?
No, my
Winston
dad
was
did.
out of the country.
No shit.
I mean, look,
just a thank you.
Chunky,
That's amazing.
Look, Chunky's never. He loves to remind me of it, but he was very. It was a good little group of friends that I was very fortunate enough to land into when I was young in Los Angeles, and Chunk, he was a great friend, still is.
That's awesome.
No doubt. Okay, so you're rolling with this. Let's go back up. I'm sorry, you know me. I like to bounce
That's
back every
all
once in a
good,
while.
man. It's your show.
So we're cruising. Let's just talk about now and the future.
Now I'm in New York
Hey.
for the coldest fucking winter of all time, which is a grind.
I just want to plug his company because we talk about it. He licenses music. What's the name of your company?
I got a company called Play Up Music.
Okay, and where can they find that?
playupmusic.com.
That's it.
You can find my stuff at winstongiles.com.
Okay, great.
And I've got another thing called the musiclicensingdirectory.com. I mean, these are business ideas. They're it's a way to help other artists as well. So it's exciting in a way, working with a lot of artists and getting them some results. So it's cool.
So you're mentoring other bands as well.
Well, more just
Spreading their love.
Yeah, I mean, it's not many artists are aware of the fact that outside of getting a recording deal or those days are gone. Like I said earlier, so it's more about, hey, here's a way that you can, if your music's still got to be good, but here's a way that you can make a good at least get some revenue in for your music, and you don't have to sell out stadiums to get a good result if you've got some good music out there.
Awesome.
I think it's interesting that, literally overnight after Napster and all that came out, it became the good thing to sell your music because there was a time when it was like, oh, that you're a sellout. You would never see the Beatles on a Chevy commercial.
Yeah, well, those days have changed, man. Like, It's the new business is all about brand associations. It's all about getting your music, working with people that are prepared to support it in different ways. So the more you think outside of the square, the smarter you are, really.
Okay, so we got that old business. Can I ask some fun questions?
Get there.
When you played in front of what 20,000?
Something I can't remember. Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
Backstage after the show. What's the babe sitch? What's the babe sitch, dude?
Yeah, talk to a couple of middle-aged dads.
Yeah,
about the
yeah.
business. Come on.
I'm being a touring musician is a bit of a curse. I don't know. It's
Shut
kind
up.
of
A curse about what?
My new girlfriend's going to kick my ass because I know she's going to listen to this later.
And I was with her the what was it Saturday night?
Yeah, she's awesome.
She's a babe.
She is a babe. She's cool as hell.
So what do you?
She organised bagpipes for
but
my
she
birthday.
understands
do you know this?
that
So-
you have a background of some sort.
Right. And what song did he play? What song?
I said to her in passing because she wasn't making a big enough deal about my birthday because we've been in New York where it's been so fucking cold and she just comes home and we're just miserable because it's so cold. And I'm like, you know what? Why don't you talk about my 40th birthday coming up? Let's get excited about that. She's like, you know what? Fuck your 40th birthday. And I was like, you only turned 41. She's like, what do you want? I'm like, I don't know. I want a Great Dane playing AC/DC on bagpipes. I want something cool, just random. And sure as hell, she organised a bagpiper to come and play all these AC/DC tunes on the bagpipes.
I was there.
It was really
I was
cool.
there.
It was super
was
cool.
there.
Yeah.
And then I went up there and started feeling so Irish. And I said, dude, can you do Danny Boy? I started crying.
Come on.
No, he played Danny Boy for me, and he was good. I mean, the dude
It was
like
a fun party, though, huh?
It was awesome.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
A lot of people in Venice I've known for years were there. It was really cool. Really cool.
You know, how can we, maybe we can do a segment with Winston once a week or something, some kind of music situation.
Dude, how can
you
we
know,
fly it?
I mean,
Why don't you
Chunk-
feature some of your people?
Well, the thing is, Chunk, I mean, you've always had a strong affinity for music. You've always been really involved with different musicians. I mean, you know, looking around here in the garage, love, you got the Neville Brothers up there. I can remember every time, you know,
George Porter over there.
Porter played at your wedding.
Grateful Dead, yeah.
That I was
Robert
at.
Cray.
That I was at your wedding, and George Porter played. I mean, the Fesshead crew and all your connections in New Orleans, and all the times I've been here and different musicians have been wandering in and out, and you know, all kinds of stuff we've done musically, and that you've done musically. I think it'd be an awesome outlet to do something musically here, you know. And
Can you help us set that up?
Absolutely.
Can we
man.
go through
I think
you?
we should get people to just, you know, send in some music. I can get some music here. We can do a feature on an artist a week or something.
Yeah,
give
yeah,
away
yeah.
some records. I mean, music should be a part of the show for sure.
And
Absolutely.
maybe when you're in a cool part of the country world, because you are a lot, we could do a Skype situation with them. You know,
that'd be
great.
awesome. That'd be killer. You know, we can. You know, like just the other day, I was at. In New York, I went and saw Springsteen on Fallon, you know, playing with Tom Morello from Rage Against the Machine. God damn, that was cool.
You know, that video went viral, Fallon and Springsteen together on stage. So that
Well,
would
the
have
funny
been
thing,
sick.
yeah,
Dude, it
Fallon
was hilarious.
sounds awesome too. Yeah. He's actually really.
Who was he singing with last night?
He sounds killer.
Oh, he's with a legend last night. Oh, jeez.
He does great impersonations of music. He sounds awesome, and that was a really cool gig. I loved it. Springsteen's band was amazing, and it was a good New York day, considering a lot of them are pretty grindy at the moment. It's so fucking cold there.
Yeah, okay, so what's happening right now is Winston is thinking about he could do his business in Venice Beach, where he first came, you know. You're coming back, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, we're definitely going to come back. I like it. Venice is my second home. Always has been.
Why'd you go to New York?
Because, you know, it's strange. I've never really done New York properly. I've done shows there, and, you know, my girl had to be there for work as well, and we just thought, you know, let's get there. We didn't realize this polar fucking vortex was going to come on, whatever that is.
Right.
So it's been a grind, but, you know, a friend was telling me the other day, hang in there because, you know, spring hits, and it's been such a grueling winter that, you know, everyone gets excited, and, you know, we're going to stick it out. There's some great artists there. There's a lot of Australian artists that I'm working with there. And, you know, we're definitely going to hang in there, but, you know, just being
out of
being
there.
in Venice the last week, you know, like this morning we walked out
nice.
to Washington. You know what's crazy? At the end of Washington Pier, my girl goes, stand right in the middle here, and it has this perfect kind of acoustic situation at the end of the pier there. You know, there was all the surfers and the waves, and we just had a coffee and walked around, and it's just, you know, I mean, I love Venice. It's just awesome.
And you know what was really endearing? He called me about 10 o'clock or 9:30. He's like, I'm at the paddle tennis courts.
Yeah.
Do you remember?
We used
like,
to play all the time.
Wait, do you know 18? Yeah, I met you at 18. He and I used to play paddle tennis. And that's when Walt Chamberlain was out there every single day.
Playing paddle tennis?
Yeah, that best.
Just banging chicks.
They're
Like in
just
between
banging
shots.
and banging the ball.
In
banging
between
and,
shots, he was banging chicks.
Right. Let's start. Let's just open up freelance here. Name a band that you would love to have been a part of your whole life. A huge mega band that you would love to have been in.
That I'd love to have been in.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I think it's a strange question because the reason that I like them is because they are who they are. I wouldn't have wanted to have been a member in that band. I mean, like I said earlier,
You have a gun to your head and someone says, name a band. Name a band.
You know, I mean, my favourite bands are like Jane's Addiction, Rage Against the Machine, you know, Pumpkins, Nirvana, all those 90s rock bands. But, you know, that's kind of a weird question.
Did I turn you on to the Grateful Dead?
I mean, I love the Grateful Dead. As a matter of fact, I was playing a Jane's Addiction version of Ripple that you probably have not heard.
Oh, I had. Really?
It's awesome. It's on an album called Dedicated.
Okay, and here's another thing. We're not wrapping it up, but I'm going to tell you next time you come back, because you're going to have a guitar with you, you got to hear him play the national anthem.
Dude, I love him. Love
Jimi
play
Hendrix
anything.
style of phenomenal.
We're
phenomenal.
teasing the audience. Maybe, there's two guitars in the background.
Oh, those
No.
things aren't in tune.
I know they're not in tune.
Firewood. They are firewood.
Really? All right. No.
I did get a guitar for my birthday though. My buddy showed up.
did?
And he gave me a fucking Les Paul for my birthday. I couldn't believe it. Yeah, it was really nice of him.
And next time we'll have an extra mic for it. But I do have a guitar in tune right now. We're not going to do it.
No,
Are you sure?
No, it won't sound
it's
right.
not terrible.
All right.
Can you do it? I'll go get it.
You don't have a guitar in tune.
I do. I swear to God. All right, we'll do it next time. Okay, let's talk more about your drugs.
You nearly killed me, man. I don't know why my parents are so nice to you. They have no idea what a fucking animal you were.
Now we're talking.
Yeah. No.
The gloves are off.
Put up your dukes, brother.
Drugs.
Man, I tell you what, he came in town. He was a softie.
Yeah.
I tell you what. A year later, he's like, "What up, motherfucker?"
You can't keep up with this man over here. It's
Well,
I beg people not to.
Back
keep
in
up.
the day, man, are you kidding? Fuck. Chunk was an animal,
He's
but
a
he's
bear.
a family man now.
Yeah. Yep.
I just hit 42. It's time to say this.
Dude.
A friend of mine sent me a message saying you're going to treat your body like a temple now, and I'm like, yeah, a temple with a fucking good time around the corner.
All right, listen, dude. What do you think? What do you see yourself 5 years from now?
I hope I'm still alive. No, I just would love to. Life's been good. I turned 40 the other day and I was just so happy. I got a great girl in my life. I've got a beautiful family, got amazing friends, and just keep on keeping on and just hopefully making some records that people enjoy. I mean, I'd love to make a record this year. It's hard to balance working. There's a certain amount of responsibility when you've got a lot of artists. I've got hundreds of artists, man, and they all want to go. They don't really want to see me on the fucking radio. They'll hear me on the radio. They want to hear themselves. So,
is there anyone you want to plug right now? In other words, is there any artists in your little camp? Yeah,
look, there's a guy that I'm working with called Johnny Mackay. He's an Australian guy. Had a lot of success with a band called Children Collide, and he's got this amazing new project called Fascinator. Check it out, everybody. Fascinator. It's really psychedelic, electronic, but he's got a real vibe for it. So I'm involved with that, and that's a really project I'm really excited about. There's plenty of bands that are doing heaps of good stuff.
Would it be possible on this particular podcast if we use some of your music?
Yeah. Go
that
nuts.
would be great, right?
All right, so like even in our little
Like
bit of
in
the
the
halftime
intermission and all that stuff, yeah.
and maybe on the way out, or maybe.
I mean, you might want to do something like Song of the Week. At the end of it, you play a song, and an artist, and we'll get, if the listeners
Get
want
some
to call up,
recognition.
we'll get them, so they can. We'll put together something on your Facebook where you can download a whole heap of music for free. I mean, artists these days are really happy to give their music out for exposure and things like that. So we
That'd
can do
be
that
awesome.
for sure.
What do you think?
Yeah.
I think the Grateful Dead were the most fearless because they let people record. Were they? I mean, they were ahead of their time, but no other concerts. Maybe I'm going off track here.
No. I'm so glad I saw the Grateful Dead with you. We saw. I saw 3 shows in Vegas.
Right?
I saw all those shows too.
Yeah, how good were they? And I remember there was I didn't know a lot about the Grateful Dead. I remember, I think we were on nitrous or something, balloons, and just fucking ripping into it. And
I was shrooming my brain.
Oh, it was fucking great. And then I was like, what's with all the fucking water pistols? Everyone had water pistols.
Remember the thunderstorms?
And then,
Yeah, and then the rainbow?
Yeah.
What was the track? Looks Like Rain.
Yeah,
and everyone
right.
squirts of water pistols, and there was this rainbow in front of the stage, and everyone was on fucking whatever.
Right, but what I'm talking about, but the Grateful Dead let you bootleg their tapes.
Well, because they didn't put any records out, really, didn't they?
Come on,
They were touring, man. How many shows did you see, Grateful Dead?
140.
Oh, bullshit.
140 before Jerry died. Promise
No
you,
shit.
without a doubt, no doubt.
That's epic. Trip. What about our buddy Trip out?
Over 400.
Over 400. God, there's a wasted youth.
No regrets.
No regrets.
Yeah,
That's amazing. I mean, how many bands had that? Like,
Well, let me ask you this: every now and then we have a guest on, and we ask them about the one that got away. If you can look back on your career and think,
Oh, good one.
man, if this just would have happened, maybe there would have been a different trajectory in my career. Can you think about that at all? Is there anything
yeah,
there?
I think there was a couple of moments with the Winston Giles Orchestra because I was really proud of those records, and I was probably a little bit stubborn and probably could have let a couple of opportunities with them, which would have taken it down a certain path. But I was just so nervous about letting a bigger company get involved with that with it because of the experiences of others around me who have been burnt by major labels and things like that. So it's a balance between, I think, having a bit of trust and having someone that you have faith in to handle that stuff with you. So yeah, you know, it was a bit weird.
Right on. And I'll tell you what, Winston, this is normally the time of the podcast where we are going to wrap it up, but normally the Wizard of the Knobs, Travis Spencer, will pop a question.
Oh yeah.
To throw up the whole group. Do you have a question for Winston Giles?
Best ecstasy experience.
I love it.
Love it. You know, the first ecstasy experience is always a good one. Yeah. You know, I like, you know, I haven't taken ecstasy in years. I don't think I would take it for $1 million. It'd fucking knock me on my ass. But, you know, I think I like spa, you know, like being in a jacuzzi on ecstasy with some new friends.
Neville Brothers, New Year's Eve, San Francisco, Fillmore. One of my best ecstasy experiences.
Nice.
Wow. Yeah. Mine was yesterday. Ladies and gentlemen, what an honor to have Winston Giles.
Thanks, Chuck.
You
I love
are a dear friend of mine, and we're growing old together.
Yes, we are.
And enjoy the wisdom of Mr. Giles. Please look him up because he's got a history of coolness. Across the Table of Love. Give it up one more time for the executive producer from Four Eyed Films, but he's all about ChunkyB.tv. Hello. 1 Degree of Chunky B. And, of course, give it to the Wizard of the Knobs, Travis Spencer. And what we're doing is we're trying to recruit him to get the hell out of Hollywood, come on down to Venice, and live a little bit.
Yeah, I got to live by the beach, man.
Yeah.
Very important. Very
Fucking
important.
right on.
Absolutely.
Thanks, guys.
My name is Chunky B. We are DONE. Thank you. Way to go, Giles.
And you're listening and watching to 1 Degree of Chunky B. Somebody scream! That's what I'm talking about!
I loves me some 1 Degree.